Alright, this thing is telling me that we're streaming, so we shall see. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at beautiful Neil's Beach in New Zealand. That is X-Ray November Zulu November Bravo, as you can see right there. We're going to be goofing off a little bit here with the 429. We're going to do what I like to consider an adult noob guide, which basically means that I'm going to do this for new people, but I'm going to explain it to you as if you're an adult and not as if you're 5. So, we're going to start off here. I start out a little bit differently. I don't turn the lights on until I have a battery. So, let's turn on the battery. Turn on the position, anti-collision, and just for me, I like to do strobe. Okay, color me silly. Okay, fuel pump, transfer. Make sure that your buses and your emergency power and your battery are all reset. Ensure that your generators are reset and not on. Pitot heat is off. Don't want it drawing amperage off of your battery when you are trying to start the aircraft. Now, there are a lot of instructions regarding how to get the throttles to work correctly on this. You have to go into the 412. In my case, I disabled hardware throttles, and I'm using F1 and F2. There are a few ways to do it. Check the documentation on the aircraft. If you don't read the instructions, you will never get this aircraft off the ground. You might not even be able to get it started. Okay, so that done, we just want to crack the throttles and then back off again. Don't turn it way up, don't put it up here, take it all the way back down. Now, for anyone familiar with the Bell 206B3 in FSX, especially if you were flying the Dodo Sim, yeah, you can blow the aircraft up if you mishandle the starting procedure. With a 429, I won't say she's completely idiot-proof, but she is really moron-proof. So, at this point, we're just about ready to start. We do want to make sure that we turn the brake off. Normally it's not on, but I do turn it on when I am parked. So, triple checking. We've got our lights on. We've got our battery on. Everything has been reset. All that has been checked. So, turn on engine number 1 and hit the starter. Excuse me. Just for fun, you can watch the blades begin to go round and round. Kind of cool. Now by this time the starter is already disengaged, which it has. It's returned back to center, which means it's time to turn on generator number 1. Generator number 1, we want to verify that we are getting at least 28 volts. It's very interesting that we're only pulling 34 amps right now. We usually pull 80 amps at this point. Huh. Alright. In any event, as long as we have 28.5 volts, we are ready to fire up number 2. So let's do that. You'll notice we draw a lot of power here. I've drawn as much as 140 amps depending on the situation. But as soon as the starter disengages, you'll notice her go back down. Okay, when the starter is disengaged, we can turn on number 2 generator. Wow, very low power consumption right now. Normally I've been sitting at about 30 on each generator at this point. We have 28.5 on the battery. We are happy. Turn your caution light off. No big deal right now. Okay. To enable the stability, we want to start up both autopilots, 1 and 2. That enables the stability. Don't put it in ATT. That is autopilot mode. If you do click ATT the way that I just did, this little round gray button is important. Push it. Okay, that is your FMS decouple. Kind of important there. Long story. Anyhow, there have been a lot of interesting situations with the collective. One of the ways I have found to get it to work better for me is joystick safe mode. There are a number of different solutions depending upon what you're dealing with. Different people have found different ways. If you're having trouble getting your collective back after shutting the autopilot off, be sure to read the entire thread that is not in the forums themselves, but on the download page. Okay, there are 4 pages on the download page. From about 2.5 on to the very end is all discussing this problem. All right. So on the real aircraft, what you do is you check your controls, and then you fail a hydraulic pump, and you check your controls again, and then you fail the other hydraulic pump, and you check your controls again. Okay, all happy. It has been known to be a little bit cool this time of year in New Zealand, so I'm going to precautionary turn on the pitot heat. Good. And okay, could someone from Laminar Research make grazing deer instead of ones that stare at you and go springing across like kangaroo? It's really, really creepy. Anyway. Excuse me. Okay, I'm using F2 to increase my throttle right now, down here. What we're looking to do is bring the yellow RPM gauge up to 100%, which is basically going to be maximum throttle. The computer will take it over, and it will hold it at 100%. Once you're there, click your RPM 104 button. Make sure you get 104%. Very nice. Very good. Okay. We're going to do a little NoE flying here and a couple other basic things. NoE is great for training, especially if you do it slowly. Nap of the Earth. There will be no autopilot today. There is an entire video dedicated to autopilot done by Timber, and yeah, I'm not even going to try to touch that one. So without further ado, takeoff. Unfortunately, at least at this point, the different trims and cyclic position are not functional. That will be fantastic when they finally do get functional. I think it's one of the most important things to be able to look over and see where your trim is, because right now I'm just guessing. But I'm going to turn on Tracker XP. Oh, and before I do that, actually, something that I did want to talk about real quick. If someone could please explain to me why we get this wavering. If you notice, my cursor is sitting at the edge of a leaf and it's moving all over the place. Same thing happens if you zoom in. I'm getting a slight waver. No, it isn't. Okay, Cinema Verte apparently keeps turning itself on. It was off when I started this. I triple checked it. So apparently for some strange reason it keeps turning on, and even when I turn it off, I can't get it to turn on. And even when the dot is not there, I'm still getting this goofy wavering, which is making it impossible to yeah, see what I mean? That's not Tracker XP doing that. Okay, in any event, what we're going to do is a small bucket of, or actually a large bucket load of right trim. Exactly how much, completely unknown. We're going to do a small bucket load of rearward trim, and I'm going to click the 0 key twice to put in just a little bit of right roll trim. Now you may or may not need these particular trim settings depending upon your setup, which reminds me, I want to go over this very quickly. As far as setups go, personally, I'm running on low stability effectiveness, and in addition to that, on my my joystick Control sensitivity, I have everything to 0. This is because, okay, let me turn this on for a moment. This is because I'm running joystick curves. If you notice this particular curve, okay, it is in absolute mode right here. I am not in multiplier mode, which is the default. I switched over. What happens is you right click in this area, you'll get a bunch of options. If you scroll down near the bottom, you can change the mode from multiplier to absolute. So, and then I use a curve like this. What this does is it gives me fine control when I'm trying to hover and basic maneuvering, but when I really need to yank and bank quickly, like if I'm following a river at very low altitude and I need to lay it over hard, I can still do that. So, and once you get your joystick curves set the way you want, you don't need any other type of stabilization or any other whatever. So, let me triple check something. Okay, because last time I was doing this, OBS Studio crashed on me. Alright, now with our trims set, we should be able to ease her up. We'll adjust trim as necessary, but very slowly ease back on the collective. Okay, there, I need more right. More right. More right. More back. More back. Come on, baby. Ease back on the stick. Okay. You want it so with a very, very light pull back on the stick, what I'm doing right now is I'm balancing on the rear portion of the skids. Okay. You want her to still fall forward a little bit, but you want to be able to do that with a very light touch. Okay. I like to jokingly think of this as sit up and beg. Call it whatever you want. But with that, you're close enough to be able to lift right off into a hover. Now, okay, I had a little bit too much rearward trim, but that's easily fixable. Wow, and apparently not enough right roll. That's unusual. That's very unusual. Huh. Come on, straighten yourself out. Rather unstable at the moment. Not normally this bad. There we go. She's starting to ease out. Come on. Be nice to me. Okay, as I mentioned, we are at Neil's Beach. Right there. Now, as I mentioned, we'll do a little nape of the earth flying. There are some nice streams around here. They are actually on the other side of a lake, which is right there. The streams, the really nice streams, are right down here. So I'm going to go tearing off through the trees. Now, one thing you have to understand with a helicopter, if you've never flown one, is what's called ATL. ATL, if I remember correctly, is Alternative Transitional Lift. Basically, what it means is that the more forward you're going, the faster you're going forward, the more upward lift you're going to get. This is especially true when you're transitioning out of about 15 knots, from 0 to 15. You need a lot of collective to maintain your altitude at 0 to 15. And then as soon as you pass about 15 knots, you will start rising. At that point, you can cut down your collective quite a bit. Now, as you can see here, I am having a little bit of fun goofing off. Now, right